Good morning. Sorry for being a bit late. Just literally got back a few minutes ago and I'm looking at the charts for the first time today. So let's see where we are. So today is the 6th of December 2023. Before we start, let's see if there's any market moving news today. Anything of high importance? Nothing of high importance, but we've got 8:30, we've had a little bit of movement. A few 2 out of 3s and oil a bit later at 10:30. So if you're looking at oil, if you're trading MCL or any oil stocks, just be a bit wary at 10:30. So no news really today. Looking at the hourly chart for the ES or the MES. This is the S&P 500 index futures. Oh wow, okay, so when I last looked at it, it was yesterday. We were sitting about here near the market close, and I thought we might have rejected up there actually today. So we've got some hit that level. That's a level in play, and that was based on that pivot there from a few days back. Was that the 28th of November? So yesterday was a nice trade. We broke down through this trend line. Get rid of that now because it's not in play. And so let's just have a look and see what we're looking at. Okay, so the best level I can see is probably 46.05 for a rejection. We're back into this area of daily supply as well. Let's just get a better view. Here we go. And then the top of that supply zone is the pivot from when we last touched this weekly trend line, which is that yellow line, and that was from July's highs. We haven't broken the highs yet from this year, so we're still below. I think SPY has actually broken made yearly highs, but MES and ES hasn't. So I'm going to be keeping an eye on that area. Let's just see if there's an area there we can watch. This is the daily, so let's just put a level in there. What's that? 45.10, 46.10, that area. I think they only drew it in the hourly. Let's go back, put my level back in again. So the reason I'm choosing 46.10 area is because we've got an area of confluence as well. I'm just trying to find, it's going to have to be about there. Is that about right? Yeah, I think so. And we've got 46. So I'm just, there we go. So we've got a couple of areas to keep an eye on, and obviously we've got the top of it as well. So let's go back. Let's go back into the hourly so we can see what that looks like. Okay, so we've got a potential rejection area. We're watching 46.05 through to 46.15. Excuse me. That's a bit of a wide area, so I'll be looking for confirmation. And obviously we're on the weekly rejection candle, and what I'm looking at as well is a potential head and shoulders pattern. So we've got the left shoulder, the head, and potentially a right shoulder forming. So that's what we're watching for. If we break the high off that, then it's not a head and shoulders pattern, so that's an invalid pattern. So okay, so let's get some good levels. So remember, we are now above the 200. Yesterday we were below it in the pre-market, so it changes things a little bit. Above the 200, above the 50, above the 20, and we're above. Is that the VWAP as well? But I don't look at the VWAP on the hourly really, and we're above the weekly trend line as well. So I think the first with, yeah, okay. So we're going to go with the trend. And we're going to look for a break and retest off of the pre-market. This area consolidation, 45.90 for a long move, and just, yeah, so 45.90 break and retest of the pre-market consolidation area. And we can be watching a break and retest of 45.97. bearing in mind 4600 is a round psychological number, so just be a bit wary. So two areas we're watching for a bounce is 45.90 and the pre-market high 45.96, 97 area. For rejection, 46.05 through to 46.15, that area for rejection. I think the initial rejection would be nice to get it off of that, like a double top, come into that area. And again, we're looking for a confirmation as well, so we need to see a top and tail candle, maybe higher volume than normal, and maybe we can see a series of smaller, slower downwards curving around, ready to come down as well. I think that's it. There's not really anything, and if we do sell off, so that's if we have a bit of a push up, look for a reject there or reject there. But bear in mind we want to play the trend, and we're currently still in an uptrend on the daily, and we're just chopping around on this hourly, just sideways chop. It's going to be difficult. We have to break out. We need to get above that area, or we've got to get below this area before we get any decent moves again. And so we're just playing chop at the moment. If we do pull back, then I quite like maybe 45.80 for a bounce. I'll be off of maybe around this area here. Let's just reassess this. Let's go there. That area there, 45.75 for a bounce, and that's keeps us above the 200 moving average, and it's this area confluence. So you've got tops of candles, tops of candles, tops of candles, and tops there, and then you could say bottoms as well there, but if we come back down, that will confirm the confluence as well. So that's the area I'm watching for. I'm going to play with caution today, because like I said, it's in this big choppy zone, and it's very difficult to do anything while it's within those areas. And I think that's it. And obviously if we get back down to, so same levels as yesterday as well, we get back down to these areas, then we've got this big area of demand, so I want to be taking a bounce as we come into that area, and maybe that's a secondary area there to watch for a bounce. And any other trades we'll play as the day goes along. So just to sum up, potential head and shoulders pattern is forming right now. We've got the right shoulder, and we could see something like that. So we could be looking for a rejection in that area for the right hand shoulder. That's a higher risk play. If the head and shoulders pattern doesn't form and we get a big push up when the market opens, then we're looking for initial rejection off of 46.05 and then 46.15. Volume wise, best to that on the daily. Yeah, not much volume up there as well, so if we do break out, we may see not much resistance coming out of this area of this supply area. And then we've got 46.34 as a rejection area as well, which is the top of that pivot. But this is a supply area we last saw. Last time we was up there, we had this nice rejection down, but it's slightly different this time. We touched it, we came down, and even though we did have we're looking at daily, we had a couple of days of green, and you can say that we had touched it, a couple of days of green, followed by a red day, but then we had more red days and we had a couple more green days. So it's looking stronger, looking more bullish than it is bearish. Okay, so that's it really. So not really good levels really on MES. The higher probability level is down here for a bounce, and maybe up here for a rejection on the top of that zone. Okay, let's look at SPY. This is the hourly SPY, right in our area of supply right now. There's a bit of a volume spike where we are around this area, extra volume. So potentially we're looking at this head and shoulders pattern again. Whatever happened, whatever's going to decide there, we don't know. So we've got a reject at 460 reject this area, and a bounce probably at 455. They're the only two plays I can see. Yeah, only those two plays, that's it really. Again, we need a break below here or break and hold above here on the hourly to actually see what our next step is. But we're just eating time off the clock here. That's all we're doing. And so it's kind of like winding up a spring, and you wind it and wind it, and suddenly boom, it takes off. So potentially that's what we're watching. So Qs. Here's a better rejection area around here. We're in this gap, so potentially we could watch for a reject off of 390.50, kind of tops of candles. Maybe we could move that to about there, 390, around the 390 area, 390.50 to 391 for a rejection. And then we've got this area of supply just here. Hourly supply. So this area is a rejection area because the last time we came up we rejected it, and we've got this area supply again up here as well, 394. So potential reject off of 394, round number as well, that area. And for bounces, we've got this potentially left shoulder, head. Maybe we might get a right shoulder, inverse head and shoulders pattern setting up, but we won't know that. We need to see the shoulder. It's not a very nice one. But we can see there's a bit of a neckline around here, so maybe we can watch for a break and retest long as well, same area. So we'll keep an eye on that. We've got highly concentrated volume as well in this area, so it's going to be hard to break through this area. There's natural resistance, but if we do, then the volume declines on this profile tool. And so we could see less resistance coming up before we get a reject there or up here. Nasdaq is probably very similar. I don't know if you can see, it's like it's been curving around. Look at that, curving around. So maybe we're going to see a bit of a curve as well, but this is looking strong. So we've broken that trend line. Just in that area there, and we come back in. We're coming back in for the retest and a push up. So target wise, we're right at an area of volume. This area here is where the condensed volume is. So we can look for a reject at 16,100 and 16,200 areas. Those areas there. But again, you'll play the trend. So we've broken the hourly downtrend. Came up, come back down, came up, retested it, and then broken that pivot. So that's the key area. So potentially we could look for a retest of this area again. Retest of 1600 to 15,975. So that's probably the areas I would consider for a bounce. And that's it really. Oil, bear in mind we've got news today. It's still looking pretty grim on the daily. And we said we're going to wait for it to get down into this area of demand, and the most optimal area would probably be 67.20 through to 68. So nothing to do with oil. Daily doesn't. There's no plays on the daily. And then on the hourly, yeah, nothing yet. Maybe we can look for a rejection if we get a bit of a pullback to this area. So 72.50 for a reject back down. That's basically off of that pivot there. And we've got this area, this entire area, which is where it consolidated and then finally broke through. So we could, if you want a conservative stop, we can look for a stop at 74. But that's an area there to watch for a potential retest, as it's already broken down through that area. But that's it for oil, nothing else. And then gold. I just see in the last few days, big push on gold. That's an area to watch for a reject if we get back up there. coming in. Is that the left shoulder, right shoulder, head, and is this the right shoulder potentially? Got this level still in place, so maybe a break and retest over 2056, 2060 area. So you can watch for that. We're still on the 20 or above the 200 moving average I meant, and we just got back over the 50. So if we're over the 50, then we could be looking for longs again. And I think the only long is this break and retest that area, 2056 long. So we look for the long play. And then how does that look on the daily? Yeah, big spike. Look at that on volume as well. Generally that could be ending volumes. So big spike, top and tail candle, that's a turnaround. So looking at the daily now, potentially looking for a move down as a swing. If we can pull back up to 2056 again, so the same area, maybe look for a swing trade short. Got a bit of resistance here, but we've got massive top and tail, massive volume, and generally that signals the end of a trend. So let's just keep an eye on this for a few days, see how it plays out. What's it like on the weekly? So the weekly volume is not quite, it's above average volume. We've still got 2 days to go. But you can see an anomaly already, can't we? So look at the volume. The last 2 weeks, small candle, and then this big wide range candle on not much different volume. And then we'll see where this is. We've got another big wide candle, top and tail candle on the weekly with above average volume, slightly above average volume, but the week's not finished, so it's going to be more volume than last week, put it that way. So potentially we could look for a weekly setup as well. But we'll see, we'll keep an eye on that. It's still in an uptrend, as you can see, and we're above all the moving averages, but the daily looks better. Yeah, I can't really see a really decent level. I think if it pulls back up into this area, we've filled the gap. We need to pull back up into that area and maybe look for a reject down, or we could do the break of this area down as well. So we've broken the structure there. So it's right where we are right now actually. So potentially we could look for a swing trade around that area for a short. But that's it. Let's just see whether we've had any movement on MES in the last 10 minutes. Nope, still at the same level. So it's right at that 45.98 area. And this is like a high risk rejection area right now. Just there. And like I said, potentially we could be looking at a right shoulder. Okay, just to recap then. So I'm looking for a reject at 46.15 through to 46.05. So this entire area is a reject area, so keep an eye on that. High risk rejection right now. And then I'm looking for a pullback to this area for a bounce, or maybe better down that area there, 45.90 to 45.92. And or a break and retest of the pre-market high where we are right now to continue this uptrend. So that's what I'm considering. They're the only trades I'm considering. And if we do see significant weakness, then I'm looking for a bounce in this area of demand down at 45.50, 45.53, that area. May consider some other trades in between, but I'll see whether any opportunities open up. Okay, thank you for watching and trade safe.